Yeah, dying on that fucking thing. Getting paid $800 for a tremendous amount of work on that movie.
Only $800?
I was only paid $800.
$800.
But at the time, you're like, this is amazing.
Oh, it was amazing. It was incredible.
On this episode of Sips and Clips, we're joined by the one and only Hayley Stablow. A native Californian and proud Chapman Panther, Hayley walks us through a career that's taken her from the beaches of Laguna to the edit bays of London. We talk about what it's like working alongside legendary editor Pietro Scalia on films like Ambulance and Ferrari, balancing life and a relationship abroad with her boyfriend, and why cutting a Chappell Roan music video might be anything but casual. Welcome to this episode of Sips and Clips. My name is Leanne McFalls.
My name is Michael Schusterman. I'm one-upping your energy, Leanne.
Oh, so my name is Leanne McFalls.
And my name is Michael Schusterman.
Is that any better for you, Michael?
Oh, it's fabulous. You know, like that
man.
thing when you're at like a show and they're like, how's everybody doing? And they go, woo! And then they're like, come on, you could do better than that. I hate that.
And then you like,
that.
then they cheer and they're like, oh, come on. I'm like, I have already like blasted my voice the first time. You want me to go another 2 times?
Oh
like,
my God. Oh yeah, especially if they do it after the second time.
like they do it like 3 times. And then they're like, I can't hear you. And you're like, how much louder can a crowd of 500,000 people get? Like, I don't know what, you know.
And on this episode of the pod,
And on this episode
of the pod, today we have
I can't hear you.
Hi, I'm Hayley.
I can't hear you. You can do better than that.
One more time.
Hi, I'm Hayley.
Hayley what?
Oh, Hayley Stablow.
Oh, Hayley Stablow. We got Hayley Stablow on the
I need
podcast.
one of those voice boards where I can do the sound effect.
I think I would absolutely hate you if you did that because you would use it in the most random spots. It'd be
It would
like,
be amazing.
I had to go back to Pennsylvania.
I would laugh so hard.
3 more months later, I was out here. I was living in my
Sleeping
car.
in my car.
You would be awful.
I was sleeping in my car. That sucks.
Oh my God. But we have Hayley Stablow on the podcast today, who is a good friend of me and Michael's. And she's here to talk to us about everything post-production, editorial, VFX, assistant editing, whatever she feels comfortable talking about. Hayley, what would you categorize yourself? Like if you were to say, I work in the industry, and they're like, what do you do? What would you say?
I usually say editorial. Because I think when I'm like talking to people who are like not in film, it's easier to understand like the editing as like a whole process rather than an assistant editor. But then when I meet someone who's like, oh, cool, like what part? Then it's like, oh, a second.
Then you get specific.
Specific. Yeah. So you start an editorial.
I start with editorial, yeah.
And then you would say a second, or do you just describe like whatever project you're on? You're like, I'm VFX, or
usually
you
I
always
say
just say assistant.
Second
Assistant.
yeah. I pivoted to VFX for a minute, but like I haven't really continued down that path.
Okay.
You know?
All right, we'll get into all of that. So why don't we start with what we're sipping on? Oh my God, I almost forgot. I almost forgot.
I know. I was about to actually you.
Oh my gosh. We'll start with what we're sipping on. And we'll let Hayley go first because she is our guest today.
And Hayley brought the drinks.
She did bring the drinks, so thank you, Hayley.
Of course.
Clap, 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 clap.
That's why I need the soundboard.
That's what I'm saying. I'm just being the soundboard right now. What are you sipping on, Hayley?
I just have an iced latte today. I was deciding between 2 drinks, but then I panicked ordered. So I just went with an iced latte.
Hayley also almost came
yesterday
to my house yesterday.
Yeah, that was funny.
With
I woke Michael up.
Yeah. I'm glad because you live all the way out in Pasadena.
Yeah.
And if you had started driving or you came to my house from all the way out there and then we're like, hi, I'm here. And I'd be like, why are you here? Like, I mean, you're welcome to hang out, but like, I don't know why you just showed up at my house. So she woke Michael up and Michael.
Yeah, because like I literally thought, oh shit, somehow I forgot. Like I thought I somehow fucked up.
Well, then he called me. He was like, are you know we're recording tomorrow? I was like, yeah. Like I'm
I was just
top of
making
this,
sure.
man.
I was
I'm
just
on top
so
of it.
excited to
Sure.
come.
Yeah,
You know?
yeah.
Yeah.
She was so excited. She wanted to come a day early to be ready. Point being, though, she asked for our coffee orders yesterday, and she was very, very kind to buy
very
and
nice.
bring us some coffee. Classic.
What are you
iced
guys
latte.
drinking?
An almond latte. Classic.
You didn't get your cinnamon dolce latte?
I was so
No.
confused by that. By
Well,
the way,
Hayley was ordering. I wasn't gonna. That cinnamon dolce order is like 6 lines, and like there's no point to
that's
run you through that
fine.
layer of abuse. You want to know an admission? I'll give you an admission of guilt. Like right now, this morning driving here, I wanted to get some breakfast, so I stopped by Starbucks and had a spinach feta wrap and had an 8-ounce cinnamon dolce
Are you
latte.
kidding me?
I was actually in my car, so
Oh my
could have
god!
asked me to bring
no,
you
I
this
wasn't
stuff.
gonna because it takes like you have to go through like 7 sub menus in the Starbucks app to make it the
I
way
would
that
have just
I like
if you
it.
just told me how to read it to the people because I went through the drive-through.
It's like a whole script. I've gone through a whole script on this. So.
Oh gosh, I got a thank you on my Wrappo.
Oh.
Did you get a thank
Oh
you?
yeah, because they're
I
writing
got an
stuff
enjoy.
now. Mine says enjoy.
Yours
as well.
does say thank you though too on your Wrappo.
Oh, it does on my wrapper. Yeah.
I got a tall vanilla sweet cream nitro cold brew, which I learned is different than just a vanilla sweet cream cold brew because it's nitro. I don't know too much
That's
about
the
coffee.
new thing from the
but,
Starbucks CEO is making sure that all the cups have stuff written on them.
But I guess let's now actually get into it. Hayley, why don't you tell us how you got interested in film and
Okay.
started in the industry?
So I'll walk you back all the way, like how I got interested in film. I grew up in Orange County, in specifically Aliso Viejo, but geography, it's easiest to say Laguna Beach because I'm on the border of Laguna and Aliso. But technically, I am Aliso. I loved growing up there. We spent our whole summers at the beach. Like I was very into surfing and yoga, and I was very Californian. And my next door neighbors really were into film. And so every summer we were making like home movies and it was really fun. And we would edit in camera because we didn't have an editing software. So it'd be like, okay, now it's a close-up. Now it's this. Now go back to that close-up. Now it's this. And at the end of the day, we would show our 5-minute, like really bad movie because it was only one take.
Could you because you were pausing and pausing.
it was like
Yeah,
DV
it was like those.
Yeah.
Those
Yeah.
It was like a camcorder.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it was so funny.
Yeah.
And we would like every single, like, not day, but like summer, we were making something.
Were you making like little stories or were you just like shooting whatever you guys were doing?
Stories.
Okay.
Yeah.
So you
And they
guys
were
had the
like-
whole like, you're going to be this character
Yes.
and you're going to do this.
bank
and-
robberies and
Okay.
adventures. And
People get like kidnapped and we have to go and save them.
Okay,
Or
yeah,
there's
yeah.
like killer or like a loose killer and they have to go and find them. And like we had this one thing where we had
Such
like a
an
news
intense
segment.
childhood story to go to. How old were you around this time?
Oh my God, probably like 7, 8.
And you're writing stories about people being kidnapped and a childhood
To be
killer
fair,
on
I feel
the
like
loose.
that's also what I was gravitating towards at the time because like
Oh no, totally. It's just funny. Like I was totally gravitating towards like I'm like in the house and someone comes and attacks me.
Yeah.
And I'm gonna fight them off.
like
And,
I think
I'm the spy that's gonna,
I like for those early like movies I remember making as a kid as well. I feel like one of the most influential things on me at that time was the Taken trailer. I still to this day have never seen
Oh
the
my
movie, but the
gosh.
Taken trailer.
Really?
You know, it's like, and then you're gonna get taken, and then she gets pulled out from underneath the bed. I feel like everybody watched that on YouTube, and that had like a impact on everybody's mind that just like never went away. So I think we all just became obsessed with like kidnappings and home break-ins.
Intense,
And
yeah,
everything.
yeah.
That's my pet theory around that time.
All right, so you made videos like every summer, I guess.
Yeah,
year.
every summer.
Yeah.
And at one point, I was getting in the car. My mom was taking us home. And their dad came up to my mom and was like, oh, I know Hayley's going to be in film. Like, she's the one who's like really like gung-ho about this and like leading the group. And I sat there and I thought how ridiculous that was because I wasn't the leader of the group. And I also was someone who was like, this isn't a real career. Like, I can't do this. I have to be, you know, like doing a 9 to 5. And like, that's the structure.
Typical office type job.
Typical
yeah.
like office type job. And then I went through middle school. And when I was in 8th grade, the eldest of that family, because they're a family of 6, took a video production class. And she's like, oh my God, it's so fun. You get to make music videos and like PSAs and like during class hours, like in 2-hour like stints. And she's like, that's all you do. And it's amazing. And I was like, oh, I'm going to rearrange my schedule just for that class. So like 3 years beforehand, I was like, I know I'm taking that class and I will do anything to make sure it works with like, that's a high priority for me.
Yeah.
I took
Wow.
that class and we were in Final Cut 7. And I remember thinking, like, this is, like, the coolest thing. Like, I'm so happy to be here. There were 3 girls, and everyone else was guys. And I went out and shot, like a small short and everything with my friends who got me into it. And I accidentally got coverage where, like, I got, like, a close-up of someone picking something up, and then I cut to a profile of, like, the same action. But I didn't mean to, because I was just like, oh, like, I'm just, like, you know, getting, like, a different angle because I want to, like, do this and X, Y, and Z. And there was, like, a certain feeling that I was just like, oh, I want to edit. Wow. Like, I want to cut. And it felt good.
This was middle school?
This was I was a sophomore in high school.
Oh, this is your sophomore in high school.
My sophomore in high school. So it was, like, 3 years after I found out about this class.
Gotcha.
Then I went, okay, cool. I want to be in film. I went home that night, told my mom and my dad, and they were like, what? And
what did your mom and dad do at the time?
They have never really heard me, like, actively talk about wanting to be in film. They from the time.
No, sorry. I mean, what did they do as, like, a job?
Oh, I'm so sorry.
Yeah.
My mom's an accountant. My dad's in email marketing.
Okay, but so they didn't know that you were interested in films. They were probably just, like, taken aback.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They thought, like, oh, that's such, like, a difficult career. Like, we'll see what happens in 2 years when I start applying for schools and everything, which I really liked the academic side of school and everything. And so I was really into math and science and proceeded to do no film after that class for 2 years and just did like a lot of, like, calc and physics. And I was really, really, really interested in that. And when it came down to applying for college applications, I completely pivoted and was like, I'm applying to film school now. And so then I applied and I didn't get in. And I was like, oh, wow. Like,
Where did you apply first?
Chapman, LMU, I think it was UCLA, NYU.
Okay, so all the film schools you
didn't
applied
get into any of them?
No.
You didn't get into.
That's wild.
Yeah.
Wow. Okay.
And
do you have any idea why?
My application videos were so bad. And my essays weren't very strong. And I came with, like, really high math and science scores. And so I just was, like, completely...
You didn't look like a creative on the resume.
I didn't look like a creative.
I see. Okay.
Yeah. And to be quite frank, I wasn't creative. Like, I was definitely like, oh, like, get a good GPA and that will get you into any school.
Right.
But I didn't really factor in is, like, no, you have to apply, like, what you're good at to the schools, like, you know, like, it just didn't come to me then. But I think that's the best thing that happened to me because then I went to Saddleback for 2 years, which is the community college down in Mission Viejo, and they have an excellent film program. Yeah. But I waited 1 year to join it because I was like, I want to get all my GEs out of the way, and I want to just focus on kind of getting back into a 4-year after this.
I'm just curious. Saddleback and Chapman have a very close relationship and have had one for quite a while.
Yes.
Were you thinking about that when you went to Saddleback? Were you like, oh, I know that these universities have a close relationship, or did you have no clue?
I knew it was a very, like, well-known thing at Saddleback that it was like, the goal is to get to Chapman.
Yeah.
What was funny is I didn't think I was good enough for Chapman, and I was looking at other schools.
Speaking of somebody who went to Chapman, that's just a funny statement.
And I remember when it came down to applying again, my mom, I, like, drove her absolutely nuts because I was like, I'm applying to 3 schools and that's it. And if I don't get in, I'm moving to LA and just starting. Like, that's my plan.
Oh, wow. Yeah.
And she was like, you have no money, you have no connections. What are you doing?
Yeah.
My dad was, like, losing his marbles as well. Mm-hmm. And
what were your 3 schools? Chapman, UCLA, USC?
Chapman, LMU, and NYU.
Not USC?
Oh, wow.
No, I was like, I thought it was a bit too expensive for me.
Not NYU, though?
I know. I was never very serious about NYU because I also didn't want to go to New York and, like, be in film in New York. I wanted to be in film in LA.
I remember a small tangent, but I remember when I was applying to colleges, I applied to the California University of Pennsylvania, specifically just because it had the word California in the name.
That's a university in Pennsylvania?
It is. I have no idea what they do or teach, but I was like, California. It was kind of like because I wanted to come out to California, and I was like, I'm going to apply to it. And then I like got it, and I was like, I got into the California University of Pennsylvania, and, you know, but
Sorry. California University Cup.
That's cute, though.
I got a cup.
I like, you can have a lot of really cool merch with that.
Yeah, with a cup on it.
With a cup on it.
A cup with a little happy face.
Oh my God.
Did you apply to the top? Sorry, Leigh. I'm just interviewing Leanne.
That's okay.
Did you apply to the top like 10 film schools? Or
Absolutely not. I had no idea. I did not understand, like, because I didn't have any type of film experience going into college. So I had no idea what. I was just like, oh, this school takes film. They all teach the same thing.
Gotcha.
And then I really just ended up at Temple because it was cheaper than going to Drexel. And it was like, it was fun. I remember telling my parents, it was in between the two. And I said, like, well, I feel like either school I'm going to learn the same thing. And they were like, well, then you're going to Temple because it's like a lot cheaper. I was like, fine, going to Temple. And like, that's literally how my college decision. And it ended up working out. But like, I just had no idea what I was looking for.
I respect that, though, because I do feel like film school was really important and influential in terms of meeting people. And I met a lot of amazing friends out of it. But I will say, like, it's the personality type that I think really comes through with people who have actually like made it, who are working, who are doing stuff.
Yeah.
And that can be from anywhere. It doesn't matter where you went to school. Like, I think if
film school can be a nice start, but it's not.
Nice
it's not.
You don't have to do it.
Yeah.
No, there's still a tremendous amount of labor that has to happen once you leave film school in order to.
Yeah.
And even while you're in film school, you still have to make the effort to like
Absolutely.
like go make short films on the side or whatever it is.
Bust your ass.
So you applied to the three.
The three.
How far away is Orange County from, like, for people who don't know, how far is it from LA?
About an hour.
It borders LA, south of LA.
So like
you saying I'm going to go to LA, like to your mom, you were like, I'm going to go to LA. You're leaving, you're going about an hour away.
Yeah.
Okay.
So you apply to LMU, you apply to Chapman, you apply to NYU.
Yeah. And then when I was submitting my NYU application, I decided I really didn't want to live in New York. So I wrote it, made the videos, and did not apply.
So you applied to 2 universities.
I applied to 2 universities.
Oh
Wait, so you wrote the application and you made the video and then you did not send it.
Yep.
Did you use the video for like the other 2? Or you just basically were like, I'm just going to do this for practice and then...
NYU had slightly different parameters than Chapman, but my Chapman video worked for LMU, Chapman, and NYU, but it was geared towards Chapman. So I did not apply, and then I was really gunning for LMU. Like, I won't lie, I really liked the idea of being on the west side. I really liked the campus. I did not get into LMU.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Wow.
I only got into Chapman.
Wow.
And Jesus Christ. Remember getting that email, driving home. I opened up the garage door. My mom is doing laundry. And without even saying hello, I just like bust the door open, see her, and I go, I got into Chapman. And she screamed and dropped the laundry basket and gave me the biggest hug. And I will always remember that day.
That little confetti popping down. Yeah.
And it was the sweetest feeling. And it felt right. And I was really excited to go to Chapman.
Had you been working on Chapman films already by then or no?
I think I did 2.
Okay.
Because Saddleback, like we talked about, is very connected.
Half of the people on a Chapman set are normally Saddleback kids. Like they'll be like, oh, where do you go? And they're like, oh, I go to Saddleback.
So you go to Chapman, finish up your Meet Michael, finish up your years.
End of it. End of story.
And unless there's any other, I guess, big pivot. You said that Esther came and spoke with you guys.
Esther came and spoke. And at the time at Chapman, I was really interested in coloring. It was coloring and editing. And I really wanted to pursue both. But I've been told that, like, you really should only pursue one. And I was like, I'm going to ride this out for as long as I can. Like, I really want to see which one feels better. I move up to LA, and I quickly realize I cannot pursue both.
Yeah.
So I was like, well, I find that I feel more creatively fulfilled through editorial. And I love color. I think it's a beautiful, like...
I mean, you could pursue both. It's just you're not going to make color a career. You're only going to make one a career.
Yeah.
And the other one's going to be a hobby or a side hustle.
Yeah. And, like, I love film, but I also love, like, going outside and surfing and, like, you know, doing other non-film stuff.
Having a life.
Yeah.
Having a life. So I felt like if I was coloring on the weekends, if it was, like just, like, a passion, I'd be, like, always on my computer.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I just didn't really want that, you know?
Yeah.
But so I moved to LA, and I moved when I was still in college.
I was going to say, you moved in college, which is a specifically,
What year in college did you move?
Senior year.
Okay.
So going from junior to senior year, like, to be fair, I went to school for 5 years because Chapman's a 3-year film program and Saddleback, I was there for 2 years. But my 5th year at Chapman, I had 2 classes. I had thesis and I had a community service class. And I got the opportunity to move up. I had like no money in my bank account. I moved up without a job. My best friend Emily came to me and she was like, I heard you want to move to LA. Do you want to be my 3rd roommate? Because we're looking for a 3rd. So I was like, yes. And they were like, great, we're looking at apartments this weekend. I was like, great. Cleared my schedule. We found like a beautiful apartment in Glendale. And we all 3 of us like sat down at a Trader Joe's, actually. We're like, so are we doing it? And I was like, yes. And everyone was like, okay, who wants what room? How are we going to divide payments and everything? Yeah. I came home that night and went up to my parents and went, so I'm moving to LA in 2 weeks. Can you guys co-sign? And I swear to God, these 2 people have just gone through the ringer with me. Yeah. And they were really worried for a bit. But I ended up working out a really wonderful deal with them where
I could just see Hayley with like a PowerPoint presentation and being like, so this is why we should co-sign. And then like show, this is what I want to do with like a pointer and everything. And then just because when you said like I worked out a deal, it's like, all right, let's negotiate here. Mom, Dad, what are we talking about? How much?
This is also 2019?
2019.
Right before the pandemic.
Yeah. I went up there and the first summer I was there, I was doing odd jobs. Working at ad agencies, at random commercial houses, getting 2 days of work here and there. Nothing that counted towards the union, but just stuff where I could afford rent. Just stay afloat. And then I did so many coffees and met a lot of people. And my friend put me in contact with another friend here. His name's Travis. And Travis and I met for coffee. And I remember like sitting down being like, I want to work with you someday. Like, I just really love your energy. You're so kind. You're so sweet.
I'm sorry. And you're still in school?
Yes.
At this point? Okay.
This was like coming out of summer into fall. So I was just starting senior year. But Travis knew somebody who was in reality who needed a night AE. And put me in contact with this other friend of mine. His name's Alec. Alec was like, have you ever worked in reality before? And I was like, nope. He was like, how much experience of Avid have you had? And I was like, enough, but like not like, I haven't done a show before. So this was like my first show. And he was like, great. Well, we need an assistant from 5:30 p.m. to 2:30 a.m. I was like, fantastic, I'll do it. So every day I did that job.
This was Jersey Shore, right?
This was Jersey Shore.
You were on Jersey Shore?
Well, it was the reboot of Jersey Shore.
Oh my God.
Which is kind of cool. Like, I won't lie.
That was like
really cool.
Just for context, at the time at Chapman, that was like the hot news on campus was like, Hayley Stablow was working on Jersey Shore, and everyone was like, Hayley Stablow's on fucking Jersey Shore. Like, that was like, holy shit, Hayley Stablow's on fucking Jersey Shore. And that got you your days.
That got me half my days. So basically what had happened was I did this show, and it ran from October to December, and they asked me to come back for like the next season. And I was like, I really, really want to come back, but like, is there an opportunity to come back next fall? I'm still a student in school. They didn't know this at the time. And I really just want my last senior year to just be like really fun and friend forward. And they were like so okay with that. So I declined to come back. They found somebody else to replace me. And about 2 days later, I get a job offer from Jungle Cruise. And what happened with that was a professor of mine from Chapman put me forward, which was very kind of him. And I took the interview. And it was a made-up job. I mean, like, it wasn't.
Yeah, you did a weird job.
I was going to ask, what was the job?
So it was a resolve stereo operator, which basically was somebody who... I was on the stereo team, which is 3D for people who don't know.
Yeah, I didn't know. I still don't know. That's still...
Stereo team? What do you mean?
The left and right eyeballs for a 3D movie.
Yeah. So when they convert it to stereo...
So stereo is a visual term in this, not an audio term.
Yes, correct.
In this context.
Okay, so then... Correct. Yes, can you explain then what the... I've never worked really on a 3D movie, so I have no idea what any of that is.
It's really cool. We were a team of 4. We were converting Jungle Cruise to 3D, and the people who were involved are a stereo editor, a stereo producer, a stereo supervisor, coordinator, and me. So I guess team of 5, actually. Normally it's 4 people. What they had come to on Jungle Cruise is they really wanted to watch the EXRs in a theater rather than a stereo, like a 3D TV. And so we were right offside of Disney. And so they were going over to Disney on like TD3 and TD4, if you guys know those theaters, which is in like the dwarf building.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Super cool.
The creepy ass dwarf building.
No, I love them. They're so cute. But they were walking over there and they wanted someone to remote into those theaters and play like the actual EXRs. So what I was doing was my stereo editor was too busy to like run the reviews. So they just wanted someone to run reviews. He would be an Avid because it was, my job was non-union, so I couldn't touch Avid, but I knew Resolve from coloring.
Right.
So he would pass me EDLs, and I was keeping alive Conform at the time of the movie, always in 3D, always available. We would like have like pop-up reviews. We'd have like a review every day for dailies. And we were like our own little like VFX team, essentially. One of the best experiences of my life because I designed
really
the
cool.
entire workflow. And I remember my first day there, they were like, okay, so you're the Resolve expert. Just tell us what you want and how you want it. And I was 22. And
yeah,
I was
like you was straight out of college. Like
I was
not
college.
even yet.
No.
Yeah, you were in college. Oh my God.
In college.
And I did not make any money. Like they gave me a bump in my rate, but it was still like nothing to like what we make today and everything. And the reason I say it's made up is because like it exists now, but like it's now union. So at the time, it was like the first time Disney was doing this.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, so after I finished, they switched it back to union because they realized it's the same thing as the VFX editor, or very similar, not the exact same. Then what happened was as Jungle Cruise was finishing, which happened during the pandemic, so we went remote and we were like doing all of that, which we were at the tail end of like, or not the tail end, but we had only a few shots that we were like kind of still waiting on. I got the offer to go back to reality. So I remember finishing Jungle Cruise on a Tuesday, and I started the reality job that night. I went straight from like 8 to 5. So
you went back to night AEing.
Yeah.
Wow.
I went 8 to 5 to 6 to 3 or something like that.
Did any of those Jungle Cruise days count towards the union?
No. So I really, really wanted to work in reality. It was like a huge step for me. I wanted to get my days through reality. So I went back and worked with them from, I think it was October again to early January, which completed my whole union days. Then I got an offer to go be a PA on a Michael Bay movie. They were finishing up the show and I told them this is a huge step for me. I know it's technically like a step down in terms of positions, but it's a step up in terms of like the area I want to be in.
Right.
And they were incredibly supportive. They like, I left on really good terms.
Did you have all your days by then?
Yes.
I'm sorry. Yes. Okay.
So I had all my days and I went on to Ambulance, which was the Michael Bay movie, met like the team that I still am in contact with today and actually the team I'm working with today. And that was a crazy, crazy experience. It was 8 months and it was like nonstop. From there, this goes back to Esther. Esther and I got coffee, like just catching up, and she's like, how's it going? How's like the team? How's this? Because she also worked with Pietro was my editor. She also worked with him. We were like talking about like reminiscing like stories and stuff like that. And she's like, well, we're actually looking for somebody who's kind of doing like a unique position on our movie. And she's like, it's union, it's this. Would you mind if I put you forward with my VFX editor? And I was about to finish Ambulance. I had like, I think 4 weeks left or something.
I was like, you were close.
I was close. And so I took this coffee. His name is Brett. Brett is one of my like great friends today. I remember getting there and he and I talked for an hour about all the friends that we knew. At the end of the quote unquote interview, I asked, so what is volume capture? Because I was going in for a volume capture assistant.
Okay.
Oh, yeah. That's the name. I was like, what was the name of your title?
I was a volume capture.
You were volume capture.
VFX assistant editor.
You always have these odd fucking titles.
Odd jobs.
So much fun.
Stereoscopic playback operator and volume capture.
Oh, God.
So much fun. And so I took the job and I pivoted to VFX. It got me in the union. I got to meet an amazing team. Flash was one of like the best experiences of like my life. Like I met like so many friends on that show. And then at a certain point, I got the offer to go work for my team from Ambulance again. And my time on Flash was like kind of coming to a close. So I hopped over to that. And from that moment, I kind of stayed back in like assistant editing. Because now that I was union, now that I had all my days and everything was good, Pietro brought me back and I did Ferrari, which was like a really massive like experience.
Yeah.
And then met like more people and like more editors, more everything. Yeah. Now to this day, I'm like hopping between a few teams, but it always seems to just like time up and everything. And I hope that like good luck stays with me.
Do you want to talk at all about your time abroad?
Yeah, no, I'd love to. I worked in the UK for the last...
That was your last gig?
That was my last gig. So I was in New Mexico for 2.5 months, and then for production, and then we flew to the UK for 9 months. So I was gone for basically a full year. And it was amazing. It was like so much fun. I met like a ton of new people. If you can't tell, I like meeting people. I like making friends. And
same. You know, I think we like all. Like, I don't understand people who don't want to make new friends. I'm like, I just want to be friends with everybody.
What the heck?
Okay, sorry. You're in London.
I'm in London. I would say like my time there was really interesting because our show was really heavy in the front end. And while because we were a very visual effects heavy movie.
And you were an assistant, right?
I was the second assistant, yes. Yeah. Which is also, it's very rare to go over as a second. Normally it's just the first who goes over.
I was going to say, yeah.
So it was a really unique position to be in. And I felt like honored the entire time. And honestly, it made me work harder because I kind of was like, I want to show, because our studio is Apple, and I was like, I want to show Apple that like it's worth it to bring me, that like I am an asset. Yeah. So I went into production being like, this is like my life right now. My friends are in California and I have to make a whole new community. I have to learn all these new things. And thankfully the UK is very similar to the US, where it's like, it's very easy to get around. You have the tube, you like have the community outside. But like by the time I left, I had like a full support group. I made so many good friends. I really, really emphasized exploring the country. And so I did a lot of trips up north, south, east, like all over, you know.
Were all of your like vendors and stuff British as well?
I think all of them were British.
I'm asking this as a question of basically just a question about workflows. Was deliverables everything the same? Did they do anything differently than what you'd done on Ferrari or anything else?
Nope. Deliverables were all the same.
It was all the same.
VFX vendors were all like standardized. Everything felt like being here. It was just more so like there were a lot of learning curves I had to do of like simple things like grocery stores.
Oh, so it was more of just adapting to the culture and the life as opposed to adapting to the job. The job was the same.
The job was the same. But the culture and life, which I feel like a lot of people go through with study abroad, but I never did that. So this was like my first time living outside of California. Because again, like I went to school at Chapman. I'm California born, raised, live here still. So for me, it was like a big experience, you know, and to be away for 9 months, it's kind of like, oh, wow, like I am not in a situation with college where you're like meeting people in the same dorms or like same classes as you. Luckily, I was meeting people who were like the same industry. But at the same time, you're like, oh, like, I don't know. Like, I hope I make friends. You know, I hope I get this.
Yeah. It's kind of like it sounds like it was kind of like your first experience of trying to make friends and make a community in like the quote unquote real world.
Yeah.
In a different country too. Like thankfully it's, you know, you had a lot of people, you know, like on your team that you were able to like become friends with, but
it can be really lonely. And like, I won't lie, like there were many times, especially when I was in New Mexico and it was just like working. There were a lot of times where I was like, oh, I don't really like do much outside of this. Like I'm homesick. I'm lonely. When I got to the UK, like there was a month where I just was like, I feel uncomfortable going outside. Like I really just like need to like recover. But thankfully I got out of that. And to be honest, it's like a huge help is I'm now dating somebody who's in the UK.
Yes.
That's our next question. We have a question on here. We are going to ask about.
So this is the dating part.
This is the dating part of the show. Soon. We always like to talk to people about their relationships and you know how they make it work in our crazy business. You have both a unique relationship in the fact that you're dating somebody both who is also an assistant editor but is also long distance. And not long distance like, oh, they're just like in Texas or like, oh, they're on the other side of the country. They are like
8 hours of difference.
Like it is a long distance.
Well, I'll be frank, it's my first relationship. And I'm really like proud about that fact, to be honest with you guys. And I think he's just such a kind soul and wonderful, and I love him so deeply. And I don't know, like to me, you asked like, how do we make it work?
Our jobs are crazy in the sense that, you know, we have very long hours, and I think some people who come into the industry, you know, they think they can't have a relationship or they can't have a family or they can't because they're like, well, I just wouldn't have time. So in your situation, not only are you working a lot, but you have this 8-hour time difference.
Right.
So it's kind of, I guess it's kind of this question of how does it work in that sense? How are you guys able to, keep the relationship alive?
So I'll say, like, in terms of communication, because I think that it comes down to a lot of that, It's like we are texting constantly throughout the day, like when we can. Sometimes there are busy moments where it's like, hey, I gotta go do this. Like, my editor's asking for this. I have to do that. Just know I'm not like ghosting you, but I'm just like stepping aside. I also totally understand if like either one of us doesn't say that. Like, there's kind of just like a known, like, sometimes stuff gets busy. But what I find to be incredibly cute is we call any time we have like a second. And so he has a 15-minute walk to the tube to get to work. So at 10:30 to 11, I'm sitting there kind of just like, if he wants to call me, I'm here because I'm about to go to bed anyways.
Right.
So then we call. And then on the weekends, we've been trying to try and schedule something. If it doesn't work out, we both understand. But like, there are times where we'll like FaceTime for 8 hours and then he'll be like, I should go. It's 4 a.m. It's like, oh, like I didn't even realize. Like, something I love about him is I feel like the conversation never ends. There's always something to talk about. I also find that like I've been going through a really stressful past few weeks and everything. And he's like on this project that we're both really stoked for. I can't really talk about it.
That's okay. Yeah.
But we're both really stoked for it. But he's been really helpful with me, even though he's going through a stressful time as well. And once I kind of got out of that little like mental funk, like, one, thanked him. But then two is also like, oh my God, I'm so sorry how like selfish I have been. Like, let's talk about you now and everything. But like, I was really happy that he allowed me to have like the time to mentally recover. And I think that's like a quality that's not really talked about. Is like,
I'm just curious, do you think a lot of that comes down to the fact that you're both in the same job, that he like understands what's going on? Like, do you think a long distance relationship with somebody who wasn't in editorial would be as successful?
It's a good question. I think it probably definitely influences it. But I also think he is just a very kind person. Like, I remember us kind of becoming friends and both of us were like, we don't want a relationship, but we just like hanging out with each other. He found out that I really like deer. That's my favorite animal. And so he was like, well, let's go to Richmond Park so you can look at the deer. And he's like, don't worry, it's not a date. He actually said that. And I was like, amazing. And we spent 8 hours talking about everything under the sun. But I always was like, that is like the nicest thing that he just was like, you like this animal, let's go look at it. And I think like that comes down to the whole like what you're asking is it's half that he understands, but like he's also just a really
he's a good person.
So I don't know. It's really nice.
One of the things I feel like is a defining feature of you is your inability to stop. And you just work, like you're always on to the next thing, or it's like you're in the middle of doing a large thing, but then you're like on the side, always like cutting it short or doing something.
Every time that I'm like, if I'm like at a lull, like, oh yeah, I'm like not working now. It's like,
what would Hayley say?
Hayley, what do you do? Oh, I'm working. I'm like, how? What?
I know.
What? How are you still? And it's like every time I go to see you, it's always like something new. It's like, oh, are you on the? Oh, I'm not on that anymore. I actually moved to that. I'm like, what?
So I jump a lot. Yeah.
So I feel like the question I have is like, I feel like for most people, I guess this is both a question and then it's also just a how do you do it kind of thing.
Yeah.
It's like, I feel like for most people, they'll finish a 9-month movie or a year-long movie, and then like they will either by not being able to find work or by choice of just wanting to take a break, will take like a 3-month hiatus in between something. You seem to chain together shows pretty seamlessly.
It's funny. It's really
Is that something that would you say that that's just a natural byproduct of the way that you conduct business, or is that something you're cognizant of? Like you're about to wrap a show 2 months out and you are like actively putting out feelers and then, or, you know, I'm just curious about that kind of chaining behavior. I have
actually never, I put out feelers a few times, but I have never like actively.
And what does putting out feelers for you look like?
Telling people I'm wrapping a show.
And how far in advance are you doing this? A month, 2 months?
I think I'm pretty proactive of telling people like always like, oh, this job goes till June. This job goes till this time. I love hanging out with like my friends and everything. And so I'm constantly kind of being like, oh yeah, like I'm finishing up in a month. Oh, I'm finishing up in 2 weeks. And I'm not really like being like, hey, like, what have you heard out there? I know I'm going to have to face that at some point. Like, I think everybody does. Like, I think it's not anything to be scared of, you know? But I'll be honest, I think there is a reason of why I've been able to survive so many difficult times in LA. And I think that's just because of my path into editorial. So I started in VFX, jumped to editorial, then went back to VFX, then went back to editorial. And I hopped and skipped, all trying to just climb up, right? Like there was never any like other intentions, except for like I really wanted to emphasize learning like visual effects because I wanted to know how they work with editorial. I thought that was really important to me. So that way when I'm eventually cutting, it's something where I can work with visual effects in a really proactive manner. Because I see them getting screwed over constantly. And I'm like, no, like we are all a team. We're all friends. This is how I think it should be. But I have like a few teams, you know, and I think it's because I've taken risks, and instead of going with one team and following like one pathway, I have taken odd jobs or random things and just pivoted. And now I have a few different people who I like love and like have been very sweet to recommend me, and you know, like I'm just constantly moving forward. So I think that's really just like the answer is it's half luck and it's half just my weird path that I took.
You're being flexible. Your flexibility and whatever you can do.
Which you bring up a good point that I want to ask or make on this podcast. Because, you know, a lot of people, I feel like when they get into the industry, maybe not a lot of people, but, you know, they end up with a team and they kind of stick with that team, which is why they might have these gaps because maybe they worked on a feature with them and they're like, okay, my editor doesn't have anything until 3 months later, or they don't have anything and now I'm waiting and seeing what's going to happen.
Right.
So I always kind of like to ask, do you find it better to like work with one team or multiple teams? You're kind of showing us the other side of working with multiple teams.
Yeah.
It has allowed you to kind of stay working.
Yeah. But I think there's nothing wrong with working with one team.
No. I'm not saying,
honestly great,
I'm not saying that there's anything wrong with it. It's just a different way to look at it.
You know, there's this thing in the industry that people talk about, which is like keeping in sync with your editor.
Right.
You have a handful of editors you've worked with. How do you balance that, like that flexibility, that ability to hop between jobs to do different things versus being like, okay, Pietro does Ferrari. You really like Pietro. You have a good working relationship with Pietro. But then this opportunity to go to London or another movie comes up.
Yeah.
How do you decide, okay, well, if I take this movie, that may be one less movie I can do with Pietro or another editor I like.
Yeah.
How are you balancing those kinds of decisions? Because, you know, there is always a chance you're in London, Pietro gets a movie, you can't do it. You are, you know, literally.
I mean, that happened once. He called me and he was like, are you free? And I was like, oh, I'm actually on this movie. And I was like, I can't, I'm sorry. And he was like, oh, no worries. And I thought that was it. I thought that was like it's always scary to be like, is he going to find somebody else? And then they replace you and everything. And because I love each team, and I think each team has different working styles that I like. I like learning all different sorts. But I feel like it's one of those things I've just been like, okay, if it doesn't happen, I'm really grateful for the time I had with working with that team. But like, who knows? Like going from the UK movie to this one, my editor, Billy, he did another movie. He went on to another movie that I filled in for. But then I kind of took a step back and I had 2 months off. And I was like, whatever comes will be okay. And then Pietro asked me, which just timed out perfectly. And that's the other thing too, is when one editor's tired, the other editor's usually like hungry. So it kind of it's been flip-flopping.
So you've been able to kind of go back and forth a little bit because of that.
Yeah. The other thing is like sometimes I help out with visual effects, which like I love visual effects. I love visual effects assisting. Like I think it's really fun. If I had another life, I would do that because I think it scratches an itch that I really enjoy. But like I have that team too. So I know that like in difficult times, everyone's always hungry for a VFX assist. And so since I've done it, I can pivot to that. And like I have a team that I really like. So that has also been helpful and kind of truthfully how I've stayed afloat even more. Because there was a time where I left Ferrari for Rebel Moon and was on Rebel Moon just to help out with some visual effects for 2 months to do turnovers. So that's another thing, is it's like I kind of have little filler projects.
Okay. So I do want to ask, going off of that, you know, you mentioned in another life, you would do visual effects.
Yeah.
But clearly, as you mentioned earlier, you prefer to do editorial, assistant editorial. Why is that?
I think visual effects to me is like solving a puzzle. and it's really fun, and the people are so sweet, and it's really, I don't know, like it's very therapeutic in a way. And I think with editorial, what I like is just that I feel the creative side come forward a little bit stronger. And I like being able to work with the entire team. I find that like the reason I know like I still want to be in editorial, it's so silly, but I really like eyes. And I love how much emotion come from eyes. And I find that really hypnotic. It's something I'm not willing to let go, you know? So like with visual effects, it's like, oh, this is so cool to watch this shot develop from like previs to post-vis to anim to layout, you know, like all these different steps and everything. But like you're kind of turning over and cutting stuff in and reviewing, and you're talking about the creative side, but you're not actually like physically hands-on. Mm-hmm. And I like the physical hands-on aspect.
You know, you could just take, go into visual effects and then adjust their eyes to make them.
I could.
I'm thinking about like if you just watched a movie where every shot was like their eyes just like welling up or like doing some kind of crazy thing.
We worked on a short film together, Hayley and I, where this woman cuts her eyeballs out with a rusty razor blade.
Which movie?
Erebus.
Oh yeah.
And that's the whole thing. You're like, I love eyes.
So you like the creative part of editorial a little bit more, and being able to watch like the real emotion from the actors and dealing with
honestly,
all that.
This sounds so weird, but the manipulation, like I like being able to, I'm just going to shout out Pietro for a second, but we were watching a scene in the movie I'm working on right now, and he did this thing where like the plot point is about this other character, but he was like, well, the movie's about like obviously our main character, so instead of kind of following the plot for a second, we'll let all that sound kind of drone out, go into our character's like just point of view for this one really specific line, which naturally you're kind of like, oh, well, I would want to see the character saying it like on camera. But what happens is that it brought up a lot of embarrassment in the whole scene, and the whole scene changed its tone because of this one change. And like you're thinking about this and like even saying this out loud, you're like, oh yeah, that makes sense. But it's something that I was like, wow, like I felt that from his cut without him telling me. And I went to his room and was like, I really like this scene. I like that one insert that you had. And he's like, I know exactly which one you're talking about. And I was like, that's the stuff that I love, is that you can totally change the tone just from like how much weight you put on a character. I remember in college what I used to do, and now on when I work on short films and everything, I would make little index cards of like what the theme of that scene is supposed to be like telling us. Okay, so it's like embarrassment or jealousy or
anger, happiness,
lust, something like that. Where then you're kind of mapping out the emotional beats, which I think like then you can kind of be like, okay, like the scene isn't working. Why? Well, I feel like we didn't add enough like droplets of this one emotion earlier, so let's go back and like look for performances like that. It was actually, there was a music video, this could segue, but there's a music video that I worked with like a dear friend, and it was one of the craziest experiences. But I did this after Ferrari, so after like a full 12-hour day of Man, he came over from 9 to midnight, and we were working on this music video, and we sat and watched every take and talked about what each take felt like for us. Oh, we felt that she was jealous here. Oh, we felt that she was too mundane here. Like we like broke it down, and then together like had deep conversations about like, okay, this is like a music video about like a situationship. How do we convey that? And I thought that was really special. And that's something I love about editorial that VFX or coloring doesn't have for me.
I was going to ask, when you're knee deep in the edit bay and your favorite bra lives in her house and her mom is inviting you to her house on Long Beach, and, you know, you're talking down her sister on the phone, you know, is editing something like that casual?
That's clever. Well done. I'm going to give you a little...
Thank you.
This needs to be in the soundboard.
That giant sentence that Michael just said needs to be in the soundboard. Casual? Casual?
But yeah, it's
all right. Do you want to elaborate?
Which is one of the things. Do you want to elaborate what the hell I just said?
Because I don't know. One, I did not know that you did this music video, and two, I have no idea what music video you're talking about, because I am not.
You don't?
I am
you
not.
You didn't get the music video. What I just said.
I'm not up to date I'm not up to date with the youngins today.
I get it.
The hip people, I don't know. I know the 2 main songs that she sings, and that's about it.
Whoa.
Oh, hey, Hayley, why don't you... If no one has guessed yet, Hayley edited a...
It was Casual from Chappell Roan, which was crazy experience. It was right before she went on tour with Olivia Rodrigo.
It's called Casual?
Yes.
Yeah, the song's called Casual.
I thought you were just saying, you edited Chappell Roan. Casual?
No, the song's called
Casual.
Hayley.
It was on.
This is why I am out of touch.
Now.
It's a good song. It's like, it honestly was really fun
song,
and
yeah.
like crazy
Also, I feel
experience.
like you did this before she blew up.
Yes.
Like Chappell was, for those who don't know, she was a Chapman student. And so she knew a bunch of Chapman people. And there was even some Chapman students that directed some of her earlier stuff.
Yeah. Yeah.
Is that how this happened?
Yeah. So she was really good or still is good friends with my friend who directed this music video. This is Hadley. And Hadley and I knew about each other in Chapman, but he was 2 years above me. So we only had 1 year of us kind of crossing over. But we had mutual friends. We always knew about each other. And he got my number and called me one day and was like, hey, like, I know we've never actually like spoken, but I have this music video and I kind of just want to work with you. And I know your schedule's crazy. So I thought of you because it's a 3-week project and normally music videos are like a week and they're too fast. And it's something that like I personally can't handle. He asked me if I was interested and sent me the pitch deck, sent me the song. And I was like, wow, like I really love this. It looks really fun. And I said yes. And it was a really difficult, like time-wise project because it was 12 hours on Ferrari, then coming home, and then an additional 3 hours on the music video. Constantly in contact with him. And on the weekends, full 12-hour sessions, we were like cramming. For full transparency, my drive corrupted. Thankfully, I had backups. But it took me about 2 hours to get everything back in order and online because I had to kind of like reorganize the project. And this was at like 1 a.m. It was really hard. And then we finished it. And I was very thankful because I had like screenings coming up on Ferrari. So I couldn't help finish it. But we had a friend of ours like online it, get it through color and get it through the pipeline.
Are you telling me that Avid said, hey, baby, there's no attachments? It's a line from Chappell Roan's Casual. Sorry.
You sat there and was so excited to say that.
Thing. I was like, no, let me get the joke in here.
Michael like moved closer to the mic. And I was waiting to see what he was going to say.
I know. I saw you physically just be like, stop talking.
What? Wait, I want to ask though, were you editing in Avid?
Of course.
Okay.
I love it.
I doubt you were. I was going to be. I doubt you're
like,
doing it in Premiere.
I was like, I would have loved if you were actually editing in something else and Michael made this Avid joke.
I don't think
like,
I've
actually,
ever known.
We did not edit.
I don't think I've ever known you to cut anything in Premiere. You've cut something in Premiere?
I've cut like 2 or 3 things in Premiere.
Okay.
But like when I first started, before I learned Avid. But
Yeah.
I am an Avid stan. I think that the workflow is just very... There's a learning curve.
Team
but
Avid,
once
Team
you
Avid.
have
Woohoo!
It's
so funny because
so wonderful.
we just interviewed Don Fisco, who was he's a Premiere AE, and he was the lead AE on Beast Games, and they did that whole thing in Premiere. So we talked to him all about his Premiere workflow. So
interesting.
And he was like, "Fuck Avid." It was a good interview. It was very funny. How do you feel now that the Chappell's blown up?
I feel taken aback because, like, to me, it was always just, like, a really fun video. I really liked the message. I liked the song. And I actually didn't tell anyone I did it.
Yeah, I didn't know you did until I watched the damn video. I was just watching the fucking thing. And for whatever, I don't know what would behooved me to check the credits. But the credits in the YouTube description, I think my eye just saw your name. And I was like, what the fuck?
Yeah, I get a text from Michael one day.
I think I did. You were probably in London at the time.
I was really proud of it. Right when it came out, I showed my team on Ferrari and had a screening, and like we put in our screening room, and like it was really fun. And it was something that I was like, this is the first time I'm really showing like people who are not like within my like friend group, like professionals, my work. So Pietro saw it, which was really cool. And yeah, I was like, wow, this is like super fun, super special, like such great production value. I thought like the whole process was really awesome. Like I really applaud Hadley for pulling that together. Like, it was, and the rest of the team. Like, I know, like, Ryan had a lot to do with it, and I think it was, I forget our production designer's name, but, like, they just took it out of the park, you know? But then it blew up to the point where my cousin was texting me about it.
Wow.
Because I just didn't share it with anybody. And so, like, I'm really honored to have had that experience. Like, I won't say I'm, like, cutting all the videos now and everything, but, like, it was a very fun, cool, crazy thing. And I'm really happy for her, and, like, I love her music. So just like a crazy little, like, side quest, you know?
Little project
yeah.
you did.
Yeah.
I feel like this is a conversation you and I have, which is probably a regular conversation that's probably had amongst the four of us, including Hadaka, is as we all kind of eye being firsts more often, just talk about as you go into that role or do that role more often, have you thought at all about the type of first you want to be?
I want to be everyone's friend. That has been something that's been really important to me. I find that when people feel seen and heard, that they feel valued. I think that everyone can bring something to the table. I think there's a matter of, like, yeah, I want respect and I want to be taken seriously. But I think that as I have gotten older and, like, continued working in the industry and everything, I feel like that's come just naturally because people know me or, like, have worked with me in the past, so they know who I am. But, like, I find that as a first, I want to encourage movement up, you know? So, like, when I was in the UK, my trainee over there, like a great friend of mine now, Nina and I would always split the work. So, like, I was the second, she's the trainee, but anytime I got a turnover, she was doing mix downs, I was doing splits. When we had visual effects work to do, like helping out and everything, I would ask her, what stuff do you want to work on? Because, like, I have done this, you know? And she'd be like, well, I really want to work on my roto skills. It's like, great, you take the roto one, I'm going to take this one. And so I really felt that it was really fun to work together because one, we got the stuff done faster, but then two, it was like everyone felt valued. And I think there's, like, a lot of times where when people start holding work hostage and you're not doing anything or you're not included, you kind of get a little bit of, like, oh, well, I don't really care as much. I just don't really feel like I'm needed here and, like, you know, so that's kind of how I want to be. It's just be somebody who's, like, a friend to visual effects, a friend to color, a friend to sound, a friend to my own team.
Very, like, communal and, like, very mentory.
Yeah. And, like, not to shout out Esther again, but something she told me once that really stuck with me is that she really emphasized making sure that the team knew how to do everything. So that way, if she ever needed to go for an emergency, that her team could handle it without her.
She talked about that on her episode.
I think that's just, like, the best mentality to have. Yeah. Because then also, like, the whole goal is for everyone to move up eventually. Right. So it's like when you feel comfortable, like, yeah, I can turn it over to the DI, fantastic. Like, you have those skills and, like, you are able to succeed. And, like, I think that's really special. So, like, I've taken that and really, like, run with that mentality.
Well, it'll be interesting to have you on again in 2 years once you finished your film as a first, and you'd be like, so I was fucking wrong. Yeah. I fucking hate everyone on my team, fucking bastards. I'd crack the whip to keep everybody in line.
That'd be like a 180 change.
I'm like, can you imagine Hayley doing that? She, like, her personality just does not say that, so I'm just imagining guys, I've been
chain smoking every day.
Smoking, and I'm God,
there's a teaser
really
out for your film now.
Yeah.
So you should go watch the teaser for The Lost Bus.
Yeah.
I didn't know there was a teaser until I was on the IMDb.
I didn't either, yeah.
Pretty fun.
There's also a trailer out for my film, too.
Is there?
It's really good. Yeah, we got to watch that.
Oh, well, that I knew. Oh, yeah. Well, the teaser for that one is, well, we don't need to get into it. It's really early.
Oh, yes.
Every project is different.
We'll have to post both trailers on our site.
That's it.
Yeah.
All right. Final segment of the show.
Let's go into our Splice and Spew.
Splice and Spew.
Splice and Spew. You know the part of the show?
Yeah. I want all these sound effects just be your voice, though.
Splice.
Yeah.
Just do one episode where...
Yeah. Yeah.
I'm going to spew about... this is actually a splice. I'd like to splice Karsten Kerpenek, the editor of Coyote vs. Acme. If you haven't been following the drama around this movie, I chatted with Karsten a million years ago about this movie he was cutting called Coyote vs. Acme, which was based off of this really funny like Medium article that somebody had written about the Coyote suing the Acme Corporation. Anyway, they made it into a feature, and then Warner Brothers pulled the plug on the feature after it had already been finished, and it was this whole brouhaha thing. But I would like to just splice Karsten, because I follow Karsten on Twitter and all the social medias, and that man, the shit that he went through on that movie for it not to come out must have been devastating. So I can't say how amazed I am at this man's resolve, in that, like, for literally almost 2 years now has been furiously posting and doing everything in his power to try and get this movie released, sold, delivered, whatever it is. And I have to imagine a part of his activism is a big reason of why the film was eventually sold to I believe Ketchup Entertainment, and they're releasing it in theaters, and they're doing a whole big thing at San Diego Comic-Con. Anyway, everybody should go see this movie as a fuck you to big corporations canceling films. And Karsten Kerpenek gets nothing but the most admiracious fucking praise from me for being, for one, going through a really difficult movie. He'll openly talk about it, but just his tenacity in getting this movie released, and his wherewithal and in staying strong in not giving up on something that he really believed in is just so admirable. And sometimes editors can be very like seen and not heard, or just not seen and not heard. And the fact that Karsten was willing to stand on business and be like, no, this movie is important to me. It's important to my life. It's important to my life story. And I'm going to, it doesn't matter if this is going to damage, anything ever. I'm going to fight to get my piece of art released. And at the end of the day, that's what it's about. So Karsten deserves all the praise in the world, and he should win a fucking best editing Oscar just for the fact that this man didn't fucking cave or give in or, anything. So my splice, for once, I'm being serious about a splice, and I'm being serious about Karsten Kerpenek and how that man deserves just a tremendous amount of praise. So, and his whole team, Ned Thorne too, who was the first assistant on that, and good for the both of them for just being really strong. I mean, I've worked on, if any of the movies I've ever worked on didn't come out, I can't imagine how depressed I would be about it. I mean, like, you put your whole fucking soul into these things, and at the end of the day, like, all you want is for your art to be seen. And if any one film I'd ever worked on never came out or never had the chance to come out, it would be debilitating to me. It would be something I think about for the rest of my fucking life. So again, good for Karsten, good for Ned, good for the entire team. I'm so happy that movie is finally coming out. Everybody go watch Coyote versus Acme when it's in theaters. So
clap, 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 clap. I think that's the first one besides Lost that you've also spliced or spewed about a film.
I know. Normally I don't.
We usually don't.
And normally I'm not. Normally I'm trying to crack a joke. The one time I'm being actually earnest today.
Yeah, I didn't know what to do with myself. I was
like, wow, Michael's being honest and earnest.
I need to just be quiet right now. I got to let him have his moment.
But you know what I mean, right? I just feel I feel like there was probably a really big pressure for an editor to just shut up. Like you can make the argument that it's better for your career, it's better for your whatever if you're just quiet. That if you don't say anything and you don't rock the boat or whatever. And he didn't have to do that. He got his paycheck. He's not going to get paid money for this movie coming out. Like, he doesn't get a bonus. If anything, he gets a bonus by being quiet. And the fact that he wasn't shows a tremendous amount of character in standing for what you believe in. So,
do you have one, Hayley?
I also have a serious one, so forgive me.
Oh, do you have a funny one, Leanne? Do you want to split up the serious ones?
Honestly, I don't have one. I'm trying to come up with one at the moment. But I'm going to feel really weird going after two serious ones.
No, we need a funny one.
No, I think of something funny.
Okay. I might. Go ahead, Hayley. I'll think.
So something that came out of working abroad for a long time. I'm not specifically talking about like UK in general, but like even coming back here, I've met a few people who are not from the US. Like I've heard of people from Australia, people from Italy, people from the UK. Like I've talked to a few different people about how their living costs are so much higher, but their rates are so much lower. But I just wanted to bring to light that sometimes I think their voices over there don't get heard. I would hope that one day they are paid the same that we are. Same thing with visual effects. I hope that one day visual effects is fully a part of the union and like supported. And I know that's really serious, and I really want to recognize that like times are tough in LA and work is slim, and hopefully that this new like bill and everything will help us. So I hope that's not too heavy, but I just wanted to say that.
I'm going to feel really weird.
Talk about Lost.
I thought of one, but I'm feeling really weird about it.
Do Lost season 4.
I can't do Lost season 4. Michael, I'm going to let you take the Lost recaps. I'm going to talk about RVs.
Hell yes.
Dude, okay.
Tell me about RVs.
My cousin is staying with me for the weekend, or the week actually, but her parents bought an RV. And so they're from Pennsylvania, so they drove across the country. But my God, like the concept of an RV, I just can't like... Because they're in an RV park, and I went there yesterday, and I was like, oh my God, all these RVs, they're like, it's so interesting to see. There's some that are just like little tiny guys that are on the back of a pickup truck, and then there's some that are like these giant ass buses, and they're like, oh, we have running water, we have hot water, we have like, you can take a shower in there, you can like, we got electricity like for a TV, and it's like essentially like glamping, but like, it's so interesting because it's so tiny. And so they're a big family. They're like a family of 6, right? So even 2 of the sisters are staying in the RV. So like there's 4 of them in this RV and a dog. Like what? So then you're like in this tiny little thing, you're like trying to maneuver around, and it's just like, and I'm like, oh, look at this little sink in the, and this little stove that just has like 2 burners that is gas, and you can just like use it as a normal stove, and then you can just drive it around the country and then move around. I feel like Michael would really love an RV. He seems like such an RV guy. What is this face you're giving me?
I'm not saying anything. I have massive opinions on what you're saying, but
I have a hot take about RVs.
Yeah.
Do you have anything else you want to finish about RVs?
It's just so interesting to me. And I'm not saying that I love or hate them. I'm neutral about them. But dude.
As some of the people listening may know, I drove across the country last year in the back of my RAV4. So the concept of you being like, there's no space, having a sink, you know how much I would have killed to have a sink? My God, to have a shower in my car.
There's no when you buy an RV, First off, when you're driving across the country in your own car, you know that you're not going to get a sink or anything.
I was going to say, this was a decision. You had decision to rent an RV.
And I fucking loved it.
You know what you were signing up for.
And to be fair, I would never buy an RV.
Have you noticed that all RVs are either white with a swirl or they're moose brown?
Yeah, they're like black and brown.
Why is
I saw a black one. Yeah.
But there's no red ones. There's no blue ones. There's no yellow ones. Yeah.
That's a good point. I guess I've never seen a green RV outside of like a tour bus or something.
I feel like I've seen like a very small, like an olive puke green RV, like that would be very, very old, but not not like a brand new. Yes.
They all have a stupid little swirl. And it's something where I'm just like, I want more diversity.
We also haven't done a Cassidy Splices View in a while. Cassidy, you want to hop on?
Hello. I'm going to spew about a really cool film screening I went to yesterday at the New Beverly. I saw a 1938 IB Tech print of Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs.
Wow.
For those who don't know, an IB Tech print, they made them between the late 30s and the early 70s. They are a different process. It's not a photochemical process. They literally dye the film. So over time, the colors don't fade the same way. And so they're really, fragile. They're really old school. They got to be careful with them. But the color really stands the test of time. And it was very beautiful. And the animation really held up. And I enjoyed the screening a lot.
All right. Well, thank you for listening to this episode of Sips and Clips. You can follow us on Instagram at Sips and Clips Pod. Don't forget to like, review, subscribe, share.
I just added co-host of Sips and Clips Pod to my Instagram
I saw that.
Oh, did you?
Mine is half of the hosts.
Is it half of the hosts?
Yeah,
I can change mine to the other half.
Hosts of Sips and Clips Pod. So yes, please follow, subscribe, share with people, trying to expand our audience. But you keep on sipping.
And we'll keep on clipping.
Wow, Michael, you still...
I got it this time.
Yeah, you got it this time. All right, we'll see you next time.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye.
Sips and Clips is a podcast produced by Leanne McFalls and Michael Schusterman. Graphic by Max Schulman. Sound mixing by Cassidy Legan. Sound editing by Zach Griffin. We have an email now. People, you can email us at sipsandclipspod@gmail.com. Send us your feedback, whether you like us, whether you hate us. Doesn't matter. We just want some feedback. We want to know how we're doing. Follow us on Instagram at sipsandclipspod. Don't forget to rate, review, and subscribe.